Okay, so this is going to be just a little presentation on Just Dance lore. I don't know if anybody knows about this or has seen anything about this on the internet, but Just Dance does in fact have a little bit of lore to it, and I just wanted to do a little deep dive with you guys, explaining some of the characters and their relationships. So, as I said, Just Dance does have some built-in lore. The dancers, or as they are actually called, the coaches, have names, backstories, and plots. They interact with each other and appear on different maps. They're sometimes in the background, sometimes they come and just help dance with the other people. But yeah, so we're just gonna dive into that. All right, and the first relationship that we are going to cover is Rasputin and the bride. You might recognize these two in the corners. So Rasputin and the bride are very early characters. They debuted in Just Dance 2. They were first seen dancing separately. Rasputin danced in the song Rasputin, and the bride was in Hot and Cold by Katy Perry. And after that, they had been in a couple different dances, some pairs, but they were never seen together. And there was nothing really to point them to put together. But during the 2019 edition of Just Dance, Rasputin and the bride danced together to Sugar. Now, at the end of the dance, I put the little pose that they ended on the slide, but they kind of confirmed that they are in fact together. They had a couple different poses and dance moves that were like, oh, okay, well maybe they're together, and it has been confirmed since that they are in fact together. And you can also see them together in the back of Last Friday Night. The bride is hit on by this other guy and she rejects him, and then Rasputin comes in and woos her, and they walk off the screen together. This is all happening in the background of it, because there's like a party scene. But yeah, and the bride comes back with Rasputin's beard on. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything, but it just felt important. So in Just Dance 2023, there is a bunch of new lore that's added. There's the story mode and stuff like that. But the main thing that happens with Rasputin and the bride happens in this song, Sweet But Psycho. The bride dances to this one alone. And one thing to know about the bride, a little bit of background, is in every single song that she has ever danced to, she's ever been the coach to, she's wore the same dress. And it's this little short white wedding dress. That's why they call her the bride. But in Sweet But Psycho, she's in this new dress. So the scene opens up with the bride and Rasputin, their little figurines on the top of a wedding cake. And the bride comes in and kind of just tosses this cake to the side, wrecks the figurines, and she's wearing this new dress. It's half of the traditional wedding dress that she usually wears and half of this black bodysuit. And this is signaling the end of her potential relationship with Rasputin. And there's a couple different backgrounds in this dance. One of them is a hallway, and the walls are just covered with shattered pictures of her and Rasputin. And in another background, there's the Sugar dance playing that is also shattered. So there's a lot of heartbreak, and the dance does kind of mirror a little bit of the music video to Sweet But Psycho with the new hairstyle the bride is wearing. But at the end of the dance, the bride gets on top of the wedding cake, and it's just her. There's no figurine of Rasputin on it anymore, and she leaves. And right as soon as she leaves, Rasputin races into the frame, and he's looking confused. He's trying to figure out where the bride is, but she has already left. Now, Just Dance officials have confirmed that this is not the end of Rasputin and the bride story, but this is where it left off in the 2023 edition. So the next pair that I'm going to talk about is Shihanova and the Traveler. These are some newer characters that have developed, and their story is kind of interesting. So, Sihanova and the Traveler are some relatively newer characters. Siha first appears in Levitating, and the Traveler's first appearance was in Rock Your Body. In Rock Your Body, the Traveler shows off some of his talents. He's this kind of Doctor Strange-esque character that he has portal magic, he has different like kind of space magic, but at the end of Rock Your Body, he opens up a bunch of different portals, and these all appear to be going to different maps that have been in previous Just Dances. And he will open a portal and then send a copy of himself out. He does this a couple times, and then the last portal that he opens is to the Levitating map. And then instead of making a copy of himself, he just walks there himself. And now in all these different portals he opened, if you go back to the map that it is referencing, he's in the background. He's usually just walking by or something like that. But in Levitating, he doesn't do this. You don't see him. The only connection between the two is this one dance move that they both do where it's like you form a little triangle. But that's it. Like, that's the only overlap between these two dances. And that's it for that Just Dance. Like, there's nothing else that really goes on until they reunite in Save Your Tears. So in Save Your Tears, the Traveler and Siha are co-coaches, and they're dancing to the song. And there's a couple times where they reach out for each other, but they never touch until the climax of the song when they touch, and there's this explosion of space magic. And that's the only thing that really happens. The Traveler opens up a portal, and they both go back to their own maps. The Traveler goes back to Rock Your Body, and Siha goes back to Levitating. And nobody really thought anything of it. They were like, that's strange, but, whatever. Until on Mother's Day, Just Dance released this comic. And in the comic, it reveals that Siha is pregnant. And then later we find out that she has given birth to this baby called Wonderlust. So, Siha is heavily featured in the 2023 version of Just Dance, and his character has blue skin that looks just like his mom, and he's seen frequently doing space magic just like the Traveler. So, this seemingly confirms that the Traveler is his dad, but this theory was further confirmed during the story mode of Just Dance 2023. There is an easy version of Can't Stop the Feeling that you play at the beginning of the story mode, and then a harder one at the end. And this hard mode version opens with Siha and the Traveler's touch from Save Your Tears. And then whenever there's that big explosion, it zooms in on Wonderlust. And this is just further proving that he is in fact the Traveler's son, and yeah. So I mentioned that the 2023 version of Just Dance has this story mode with villains and protagonists and side quests and stuff like that. And this is really signaling the beginning of this new lore-filled era in the Just Dance franchise. So many people were loving their little mini hints at relationships and stuff like that they just decided, you know what, we're gonna take this and run with it. So in the story mode, there are several characters or coaches that are kidnapped by this villain called the Witch, and they have to be set free by Wonderlust and the person who is playing. And one of these characters that gets kidnapped is Rasputin. So there's hints that maybe that's the reason why Rasputin missed the wedding with the bride, and all these different stories are kind of starting to overlap and become new. The Wonderlust and the Rasputin and the bride stories are not over. So stay tuned for Just Dance 2024, where hopefully we will get to know what happens with the bride and Rasputin.